Hey all, hope you are having a fantastic day. So today I want to talk to you about the MAXPEDITION Beefy. MAXPEDITION was awesome enough to send this out to me. It was definitely on my radar after I had the Fatty, which I do have a video out there on the Fatty where I use this to replace an existing garage door opener. So basically I pulled down the main unit, died on the original one, so we got a new, went from a chain drive to a belt drive, and I was able to use all the tools in the Fatty to replace that garage door opener, which is quite a feat for just a little pouch, tool pouch, to be able to do that. The Beefy, as you can see, is taller, definitely taller and wider, and it the cool part is it allows me to put stuff like full size vice grips, full size needle nose, not jumbo, but what I consider normal full size tools into this pouch. So this pouch, at least my initial loadout, I've definitely got some other ideas as a potential EDC pouch and a larger sling. But right now, this is basically a small toolbox. So I will give you some of the specs on this pouch. And it is made out of 1050 denier nylon with genuine YKK zips and Dirt Flex hardware. So it's got obviously lots of compartments, some zipper pouches. It's got elastic. You got a mesh area on the front. You've got a 2x4-inch Velcro patch for morale patches. My take is on morale patches is I generally don't get the collectible ones online, the Ranger, whatever they're called, but the limited drop ones. What I do is I go on, as we go on trips, like this one's from the Galapagos. So on, for me, what are memorable trips, I grab a patch from the location, or because patches are kind of on the outs right now, everybody's kind of going with stickers because of the whole water bottle thing. So I have been using stickers as well to put Velcro on and make morale patches from different locations where I couldn't get a patch. So that's my take on patches. The only thing is if you do that, if they're the iron-on patches, if you can get that iron-on stuff off, that backing off the back of the patch, because if you don't, I've had a couple patches where basically eventually the patch would fall off and the Velcro and the iron-on stuff would still be on the pouch. Luckily, I didn't lose any patches, but now I've learned to take the time to pull that stuff off. Some patches, I will say, that iron-on stuff is basically ironed onto the patch, it seems like, and I haven't had issues with those falling off. But if you can pretty easily peel it off, do that when you're making your um, homemade patches, if you choose to do something like that. So the dimensions on this are 8 inches tall, 6 inches wide, and 2.5 inches thick. Of course, the dimensions, when I show mine at the end, they will be as it's loaded out. So it will be pretty much larger in all dimensions just because of the way that I have it loaded out. The volume on this is that of some of those small slings. It's 1.9 liters. So it is aptly named, generally a very beefy pouch. And I have the Wolf Gray. I got that on the Platy, and I really like the color. And then for size comparisons, you got the Beefy and the Fatty. I think I'm definitely happy I went with the Fatty first. I got this last year for Christmas, I believe, or even before that. I don't remember. It's kind of at the beginning of my EDC channel journey. I've been doing EDC all my life, but at the beginning of the journey for me on the channel. And then here is the large platy, which this thing is holding up awesome and gets tons of use. This is my mini tool pouch. This is my middle tool pouch, and this is my large tool pouch. And as you can see, size-wise, they all kind of, it's actually a very nice progression. So the colors available for the Beefy are the black, OD green, khaki, foliage green, and the wolf gray. Wolf gray is really cool color. So now I will switch to camera angle 2 for the rest of the video to show you how I loaded this out. And then at the end, I'll give you the dimensions. And if you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, comment, answer any and all questions. Let me know. And probably the best suggestion out of all the comments has been to get this external mic. So what's awesome is I can do these 2 different video angles and give you a consistent sound. All right, before I get too far into this thing, I will give you the dimensions. So don't bail, because you'll see the unloading and how awesome this pouch really is. But here are the dimensions. And let's get into the darn thing. All right, so now that we're to the overhead angle, so now you do have these pockets. I will admit I'm not a huge fan of these pockets, but you could slip some papers in there really without worry of them falling out. Right now, I don't have anything in there. Now that I'm looking at it, if I really wanted to, I could put my boo-boo kit stuff in here. But generally, I don't use these pockets very often. But, you know, to each their own. It's just not a pocket that not really a fan of them. Oh, and then you do have the attachment points on the back. So if you wanted to attach this to a backpack that has this capability, you have that there. I do not currently have any backpacks that have that capability. Someday maybe I will and make use of that and see how it works. Now you get to watch me struggle here. I'm going to just go that way. So basically I took a, kind of to help keep it shut, not that we need it, I just got a generic, very generic flashlight that I have attached there. And here is the interior. And this thing is really loaded out. So you have full-size pliers, full-size tools, small tool there, 12-foot tape measure, full-size screwdriver there. So I do want to compare that to the Fatty, where with the exception of the full-size screwdriver, one thing I need to get another of is another one of this size. I'm not sure if the next size up would actually fit. This was a push for in here, but I love the tongue and groove style pliers, either the Channel Lock brand. Got so many different brands. I don't see the need at this point to, maybe someday I will step up to a Knipex, but time will tell. So I do have the full-size screwdriver, but yeah, I've got the crescent wrench, got some, these zip ties are cut down, then just precision screwdriver. I do have a scissors, a knife in here. So I've got a really good selection of tools, but with the exception of maybe the screwdriver and the pliers, you know, they're all generally run smaller. And I did have a very small tape measure in the front. Now this thing is incredible. It's amazing what you can fit in here. I could probably fit more and puff it out more, but this to me seems like a pretty compact fit, and I think I'm going to stick with it, other than my potential alternative use, but time will tell. So on this side I got a crescent wrench, got a full-size pliers, and then probably get a metric in here, but right now I just had the standard hex key set. In the back here, got a full-size needle nose. Use the needle nose a lot. And then so since I got the full-size needle nose, I went with the pliers style vice grips. Then in the back, I've got some small, and I just put those in a bag, some small zip ties, and then not cut down the larger zip ties. And that is everything on the left side of the pouch. Then on the right side, the one thing you notice I had in the fatty I do not have in here. I do. I have this flashlight, which is actually probably brighter than that very old flashlight I have in there. So I do have a flashlight. And I've got, this is one of those 2-in-1 screwdrivers. Now I think this is a 1/4 inch side, so I do have some options to expand this. So I do have this. Now I took the clip off it so it would fit in here better. This is one of those self-locking 12-foot ruler, and it's more of a standard size ruler, which is really nice. Now I got this Gordon utility blade, and what I like about the Gordon utility blade over others, it's a button lock, is I wish I had this when I did all this paneling in my basement room, because you can lock it at this position, which is more ergonomic than that position when you're cutting drywall. And if you're just cutting one piece of drywall, it's not a big deal. When you're cutting drywall for 4 or 5 hours, not drywall, sorry, paneling, when you're cutting that for 4 or 5 hours, having that little bit of ergonomic advantage is huge on your wrist. And then, just because I'm kind of a big fan of needle nose pliers, I just got a smaller one, and this can be used for, needle nose are really handy for bending things, like when I make spinner baits for fishing, or just any wire you got to bend, they are super handy. I got this from my racing days, RC car. This is just a little precision screwdriver, and yeah, this actually does have, just remember this actually has metric hex. So I do have the standard and I do have some metric here, so that actually works out. Now this thing is really awesome. This is a little Malco 1/4 inch bit holder. Now, where are my bits, you ask? So I did have a larger one of these earbud cases. These are just the generic ones you can get on Amazon, any of those really cheap sites. So basically I got a bag of Torx bits. To fit in this bag, I took out the the much larger ones, but I for sure have the sizes that fit any knife maintenance. And then I have the selection of slotted and Phillips in here. And there's 3 or 4 sizes of each. And then in here are a couple of extenders, and these are the little, these you can get at Amazon. You can get these, you can get them at any hardware store. It's a little plug for these. I think the vices you could have seen when I was doing the initial video, one of these has the hex side for your standard bits, and the other is a square. What I did is just put this in a vise and then used a hacksaw to cut this side off. And then I just put Velcro on them, and I put Velcro on the pouch to hold them in. And where could this also come in handy? I got the bits, and yeah, I could probably put the bits in here alone, or I've got an extender here, and you could do an extender on an extender if you wanted to get a longer reach. And I also believe on this 1/4" side. So right here, if I wanted to extend this, and then this will, by doing that, this one doesn't really lock in super well, so you gotta be careful. But that'll let me use those other bits in here if needed. But that is definitely an option. So just way to make use of lots of stuff. And what else do I got in here? So we're at a sale, got a box of like 8 or 10 of these. So this is just pocket-sized duct tape, 5 yards of duct tape. Because even take one of those on a travel, just throw that in the carry-on. And then of course, we got the boo-boo kit. So all of that stuff fits into here super easy. So now what was the other option I was looking at, you ask? Is do the kind of pouch within a pouch. So since most EDC gear, as you can tell, isn't gonna take up this much depth, all of this stuff really eats up that depth quickly, but it fits perfectly. It closes great. But what I was thinking is use this for normal EDC stuff in here, and here, and here, and back here. And then maybe put like a hank or microfiber cloth on one side there, and then just throw one on top, and then close it, and you got a pouch within a pouch. So I know at MAXPEDITION, I've got 2 of their double deckers, which I absolutely love. Not sure what this would be considered. It's not really a double decker, but kind of a sandwich. So we got the MAXPEDITION sandwich here with the platy in the middle. So if I do that loadout, I will definitely share it, because I think that would be kind of neat to do this as an EDC pouch. It'd definitely be a different use case for it, which would be really kind of cool. But man, this Beefy pouch, this thing is awesome, because essentially I feel like I've got pretty much a fully functioning toolkit. While I don't necessarily have a wire cutter per se, I've got, cutters on the 2 players. I've got I can pretty much do everything with this pouch. Short of something where you need socket wrenches, or like I said, the one piece I probably need, even though I do got the crescent wrench, is get the tongue and groove pliers in there and see how that goes. But yeah, again, let me know what you think. Comments, everything's welcome. Definitely appreciate a subscribe. So hope you enjoyed. Take care and have a great rest of your day.